Hey, hello folks, this is Cornholio here. I am going to show you why I think the V3 tactical version, which I made, this is not a tactical version, this is a field sport, but I made it into a tactical version. Why I think this is absolutely the best gun for tactical version, tactical shooting, home defense, okay? Now, I've got them unloaded. I got snap caps over here. I'm gonna show you some of the things that I've done with it. All right. Of course, I put on a mount. I put on a +3. I took the 28-inch barrel off right here. All right. I bought the 18-inch barrel to put on here. The 28-inch barrel, I found it. Took me like 2 years to find it. It is cylinder only, improved cylinder only barrel. Let me pull this up in here. Improved cylinder only. And it says it on here somewhere. I don't know where it says it. Oh yeah, right here. IMP cylinder. It's the tiniest little bitty improved cylinder. Right here. I don't know if this gun will show it, but it says improved cylinder right there. All right, I do have a True Glow optic on it because it comes, when you buy a turkey version, that's what they put on them. Put a rail mount on it, put that on there. I have a match saver right here. You put one extra round in it. And this gun is unloaded, okay? I put an S-Tac shot card on it. I put these on all of my shotguns for home defense, okay? So I'm gonna take that off. We'll toss that, okay? Now, let's do a safety check for all the gurus out there. All right. Nothing in there, nothing in there. You can definitely see the little red glow, a red follower that I have in here. It's red right here, nothing in there. I'm going to rack him open quite a few times. You guys can see he is not loaded. Okay, so I put at least a Nordic +3 on here, and I put a mount that I got from, I can't read. Of course, you know I love Olights. Y'all can bite me if you don't like them. I don't care. Because the reason I love this one is because it has strobe effect, okay? That's the Valkyrie PL Pro. Strike Industries made a very nice clamp for the barrel, and I have that on there. I can hook up, obviously, a light. It has a 3-position pick rail. On this side, it has your quick release. I'm gonna take this off, okay? Now, I don't like these little small, tiny things on the stall. Oh, this is pretty robust. I prefer the quick disconnects. So I bought an M-LOK. This is an M-LOK rail. I bought an M-LOK Picatinny rail mount for M-LOK from Magpul. I file the bottom of it off smooth and drill 2 holes and put 2 screws, and there's nuts on there on the inside. This is a Limb Saver AirTech recoil pad, as if this thing needed any more help in recoil. This is an absolute beast of a recoil managing gun, and we're gonna get to that here in a minute why. I drilled and tapped out the bolt release shell latch and put a Terran Tactical oversize on it. They come, certain models now come with these already on them. This is an oversized charging handle. It is the one that come on the V3, the TAC 13s and the other guns. These are hard to find now, but I found one and bought it and put it on here. All right, that's pretty much all that I've got into this gun. Now, what makes it special? What makes this gun handle recoil like a boss? I will be editing out my coughing. I don't know if it's flu or COVID. I've had no fever, but you know, I work as a travel nurse and I'm around everybody all the time. So pardon me if I'll edit out the coughs as best I can, okay? What makes this, to me, the best home defense tactical shotgun? It is the VersaPort gas system inside here. And we're gonna pull this apart here in a minute. I'll pause it and put it in here. But let's go over a few things about these barrels. Now, you know this thing has 2 pistons, okay? Here's one right here. When you fire the gun, there's holes in the chamber, okay? And they bleed into here. And this moves, what is that, a 1/2 inch movement that thing travels back, and it pushes back on your bolt and cycles it, okay? What's different about this one compared to, say, the old Versamax? Well, on the Versamax, it had a piston assembly, just like this, okay? Now, I'm gonna put this piston back in here. And all it had on it was a cap. It's a piston plug cap, the piston chamber plug cap. And you take I think this is a 3/16 Allen key, and you screw that down in there. And that's how you take this thing apart. You can take a 10 millimeter or a 40 millimeter or a 40 cal bristle brush, and you can scrub these holes out real good. All it had was that cap on it, okay? That's what your old Versamax gun had. Let's set this out of the way for a second. Your Versamax had the same exact pistons, but only had a cap on the tip of it. Now, you notice this kind of looks like if you've taken a Benelli M4 apart, it's identical. Benelli, this is a gas compensating plug cap assembly. All right, and I have one right here. All it does, you take that cap out and you screw this one in place of it, okay? Now what you don't see, and I doubt I can show you, it's just a hole that goes up in through here, and there's another little spring assembly and this little piston here. And if you can see real closely, there's a little rod that goes through it. You have to put this thing in a vise and compress it really, really hard, just a millimeter, and then this little pin will pop out. You can slowly let it up, and pull out, and there's another spring in there. So if there's too much gas that's going through this thing, okay, the gas bleeds up into here, and that spring will push open up and let more gas come out through the holes up here. This is genius. Benelli M4, they figured it out. I don't remember when the Versamax came out. The V3 guns come out in 2015. The Versamax, I'm just not sure when it come out, but it had this system just like this, a different barrel, different length here, so they're not interchangeable, but the pistons are, but they only had plugs in them. The V3 come out and put these gas compensating plug caps on here to bleed off even more gases, because inside the barrel, and I highly doubt I'm going to be able to see or get that on camera, but if you get a flashlight and look down in here, you'll see holes in the chamber or past the chamber, and those holes are staggered. I'm trying to see, I can see them by looking down in there barely. But if you look it up on the internet and see the web and see the picture of it, you'll see that the holes inside the barrel, right past the chamber, there's a couple of holes here on that side and a couple of them up here. If you put a 2 3/4 inch shell in there, it leaves all the holes open, because 2 3/4 inch shells, and this is the snap cap, don't have enough gas. I mean, they have plenty of gas in them to operate these pistons and operate your cycle. Even light load, 1 ounce loads, some people are shooting 7/8 ounce loads in them, and they're cycling because the holes are staggered on each side. Now, if you put a 3-inch Magnum shell in here, it covers up a couple of holes, because 3-inch Magnums have plenty of power to operate this gas system. So when you put it in there, the holes on the shorter end are going to get covered up. So there's a hole right here, a 3-inch Magnum shell comes and is going to cover it up. If you put a 2 3/4 inch shell in here, it's going to leave this hole and these holes up in here open to get more power to cycle it on lighter loads. So Benelli has this gas system, and they have these gas compensation piston cap plug assemblies. I can't remember for the life of me if Benelli has holes staggered, so if you put a 3-inch shell in there, it covers a couple of holes up. Anyway, the reason for that is to keep the pressure down so you don't overpressurize it. These cap plug assemblies, compensating plugs, are there for extra gas. If that shell just had too much, the 2 holes would be covered up because it's a longer shell, but there's just still too much power in it, and it's going to cycle the gun really harshly. With these piston compensating plugs will allow more gas to vent out, keeping this thing one of, if not the best handling gun for cycling heavy rounds. I've been shooting shotguns, most of y'all know, since 1975. I've shot all kinds. I had a Benelli M4. I had a Beretta 1301 Tactical. Y'all have seen my videos on those. This gun handled recoil on 3-inch mag, double-aught buck, 15 pellets, better than the M4. The 1301, it can't handle heavy loads. I mean, it'll wear your shoulder out. It'll really wear your shoulder out. Fun gun to shoot. Absolutely fun gun to shoot. I even bought the kickoff stock and put it on there with those shock absorbers. And y'all, if y'all seen the video on that, you'll know what I'm talking about. And still, the M4 handled 3-inch mag loads with better recoil reduction than the 1301 did with just simple 2 3/4 inch double-aught bucks. This V3 handled the 3-inch Magnum double-aught buck 15 pellet shots equal to or just a tad bit better than the M4. Same gas system. There's a few differences in the receiver. I'll show you that in a little bit. So when you buy an 18-inch barrel, like I did, it didn't come with these compensating gas plugs. It came with just a plug. I've seen many videos and many pictures of the TAC-13, you know, the little firearm. It has this exact assembly and gas system, but it's only got like a 13-inch barrel on it. You know, the TAC-13, you've seen it. Its gas piston only has plugs. I've not seen one with these compensating, but I know inside this receiver, I mean this forend, there's channels cut out longer so that you can put them on. As if you haven't shooting some heavy stuff, okay? These gas compensating gas port plugs aren't really going to benefit you shooting 2 3/4 inch fill loads. Some slugs, some double-aught buckshot, these might help a tad, okay? If they're just really high-powered ones. 3-inch Magnums is where these things come in. Duck hunting, geese hunting, stuff like that. But when you're shooting 2 3/4 inch shells, I don't think these really even play a part. Okay, so we've looked at the barrel, the VersaPort gas system, which is basically identical to the Argo system on the Benelli M4. And if you've ever shot one of those, you know how good that thing handles recoil. The 1301, I sold it. I sold the M4 because I bought this. I have another one. And shooting them side by side, I like this better. I like this better than the 1301 Tactical. I like it better than the Benelli M4. Now, I could have bought a different buttstock that didn't have the pistol grip, but I had the collapsible stock on mine with a pistol grip. I just didn't like it. And I probably should have sold it, but I got good money for it when I sold it. I like this gun. This gun is fan-super-tastic, okay? Absolutely, absolutely the best semi-automatic home defense shotgun I've bought. And that's comparing it to the Beretta 1301 Tactical. That's comparing it to the Benelli M4, the king of all shotguns. That shotgun was designed for war, not home defense, not police departments. It was designed for war. And I prefer this over that. That's saying a lot to me. So I can still take this off, take this barrel off and put this 28-inch barrel back on there. Of course, I'm gonna put this back in there. I just had to show you guys. And I can go hunting with this gun. The other one I have, y'all seen it. It's the one that has camouflage, and I put wood stocks on it and wood forend on it. It's got a 26-inch barrel, and I put a plus 5 on it, I think, whatever. I can get 11 or 12 rounds in that thing. That one's set up for competition. It also has a match saver. Is this necessary for home defense? I don't know, okay? I can get 6 3-inch mags in here. I can get 7 2 3/4 inch. I could take one of these, a real. Now, when I'm shooting, okay, I'll set another camera. When I'm shooting and I've shot my last round and this locks open, all I have to do, and it's on safety and it's unloaded, is simply do that, hit the button, and I got one more to go. Competition, mostly, yeah, okay. All right, now let's look at some differences between this gun and your European guns. On the Versamax, like the Benellis and Berettas and a lot of European guns, to get this bolt to lock back, there is a button right here, or on the Berettas, one like this. Now this one here is not for that purpose. You can sit here and rack those Berettas and Benellis all day long. They will never lock back. They won't drop a new round into the chamber unless you do one of two things. You either have to, on a Beretta and Benelli, you either have to pull the trigger, which activates that little switch here, or another switch right here on Berettas. It lets a round come out of the mag tube into the chamber on the lifter carrier. And it locks back. Then you press the button and send it home. Now, if you pull the trigger and shoot it, of course it ejects that round. And because you pulled the trigger, you've activated the switch. It lets another round drop and you keep shooting until it's empty. If you want to speed load it from a match saver, when that last round is open, sometimes you push this in there and drop it in there and hit the button, it'll close. If you want to change out rounds on a Benelli or a Beretta, you can just eject the other one out and it's not going to lock back, but you can hold it and put another round in there, like a slug instead, and hit the button and close it. When you shoot the trigger, it's going to fire, and then another round is going to pop in here and just keep on firing. To unload a Benelli or a Beretta, you've got to push the button, rack it back, let it close, push the button again, eject that round out, now a new one's dropped in. It's kind of aggravating. But you get used to it. You work around it. It's no problem. The Versamax had way mixed reviews when it came out. Big time difference in views. People didn't like the fact that it was a European style that had the button that you had to press on the side here to get a shell to come out of the mag tube into the lifter where you could rack one in there. They didn't like it that you could run this thing all day long and it would never lock back unless you pushed that button. They just didn't like that. The other thing the Versamax kind of failed on is they went with the different choke tubes. You know, rim chokes have been around for decades and decades, since the 80s, and they work. With the Versamax, they changed up the operating system by making it European style, and they put in I think it was a Rim Pro, different choke tubes. So if you didn't buy the version that came with a full set of choke tubes, then you got to go out there and buy some expensive choke tubes for your gun to make it complete. And people didn't like that. They didn't like that at all. So those were two of the main falling outs that Remington had with the Versamax. Although it was an extremely soft shooting gun, like the Benelli M4, if you've taken one apart, you'll know the bolt here has a link that goes back and sits in a cup that runs along the action spring down inside the stock. The Franke and the Stogers, which are kind of made by Benelli, have action springs up on your magazine tube, like the Beretta 1301. And people have mixed feelings about that. Stuff like that wears out, and it can wear on the sides of the mag tube. I never really had any problems with any of them. With my Beretta 1301, when I hit about 800 rounds, I had to clean that thing. The 1301 has a gas seal inside of the ring, the barrel ring, and the springs run up and down it. I had so much carbon fouling around that gas ring and up around the pistons. Cleaning it was a bore and a nightmare. And the carbon building was so thick that it even had flat spots rubbed on the carbon because of the cycling system. So I thought about running that gun another 2,000 rounds just to see if it would fail. I thought, no, I spent too much money on this gun. So I had to clean that thing at least 800 rounds. I had to clean it. I cleaned it good. And it looked like there was damage to the mag tube, but it was just so much carbon buildup. It looked like it had ground it and ground a groove in it. I'm like, are you kidding me? But I got to cleaning it, and lots of solvent, lots of bristle brushes, soft bristle brushes and everything, and all that stuff come off, and that mag tube looked pristine again. But I thought 800 rounds and it's this dirty? To some people, that's not a lot. To Benelli users that have inertia systems, they're like, this is a nightmare compared to Benelli. This gun, it doesn't have anything behind the stock. The action spring in this gun are 2 springs on each side. They have guide rods that they run on, all right? So when this piston fires and it knocks back a ½ inch, this thing comes back, ejects it, pops a new round in. It's a very quick cycling action too. But there's nothing back here. That's why the TAC 13 can put a bird's head grip on here. Or just a pistol grip. Nothing back here that interferes in this stock with the action. Everything is right here. It ends right here. And your pistons, if you can see where they're going to sit, this gun will be right here. There's your pistons. Okay? Let me just set this down. Here. All right, that's where the barrel goes in. Here's your pistons right here. They're moving right here, hitting this bolt. This bolt comes back, 2 guide rods loaded, action springs, and that's it. There's nothing back here. You could take the stock off and this gun will work with no stock on it, although that would be extremely stupid and dangerous to try and do. There's people out there. It can be done, okay? You don't have to even have a stock on this thing for it to work because there's nothing back here. I like that. You have more options of stocks. Okay, I think I've gone over enough of what we can look at with the gun in this configuration. I'm gonna take it apart. I'm probably gonna edit out some of this stuff. I just wanna take some of this stuff off so that you guys can see what we're looking at. Okay, I'm gonna take the barrel clamp off. All right, that got the barrel clamp off. Again, we are unloaded. Let's take, he's a pain. I like this Nordic one because it's, you can take it off with a nut, take it off with the tube extension, or take this top cap off as well. Either way. The only thing is when I don't take the nut off, I can't get the fore-end off yet. Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? There we go. All right. That there. Take my spring out. And my follower. Because I don't want it to fall on the floor. All right, now I got to get this, if you know the Nordics I'm talking about, get off there. Okay, now, here is the original cap that goes on it. It has this little vibrating, push it in there, okay? This goes out in here, you turn it a quarter turn and it locks back in place, put the cap on, okay? I did have to get those divots out that hold this thing. You know what I'm talking about. If you've ever pulled one of these things off, they don't have the old style, or they don't have the old style where you just pull that little pressed in cap out. They actually have grooves on them that hold this in place. You've seen them. You push them in, turn it like a half or a quarter turn, and it pops back up and it's locked into place. And then you put your cap on here, and these little plastic fingers and tabs with grooves in them catch into the top until it locks in. Top of your mag cap. All right, so got that off. All right, we got all that stuff off. Now, with it inside, you can see where the pistons here meet into this. Let's just back that up a little bit. Now, all right, those pistons run like that and back, and they hit it. So let's take the barrel off now. Okay, barrel is off. Let's compare the two barrels. Now, the grooves I was talking about, let's see if we can see them in here. All right. I don't know if you can see that or not, but there's a groove right here. It's right there. That, if you can see the light coming up, the light comes up and there's a groove cut out right there. Okay, on both sides for these piston compensating caps to kind of set up in there. They'll be in there just like that. All right, that's room enough for these guns that came with just the caps. Take them off and put these on there so they'll still fit with your thing. Now, if you bought an old wooden 4N off eBay like I did, those were some of the original first leftover parts that Remington just sold when they went out of business. And I bought one for that other V3, and it wouldn't fit because those little grooves weren't cut in there. So I took a little wood chisel and I went tick, 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 tick with a wood chisel and got them checked out, and it worked perfectly. So there's workarounds and everything. On my match saver inside, I'm hoping you can see that right there. Do you see that screw? I got my Dremel drilled out an area. So when you put the little washer, the nut thing in there and screw it on tight, it's recessed enough that it doesn't hit the side of the barrel right here. So that's what I did with that with a Dremel. Okay, now let's go to taking off and get this out, all right? It's kind of weird. You gotta work it until it gets like that. Just work it, it'll eventually come out. When it gets out to there, and your bolt is sticking out, you simply take your charging handle and right about in there and snatch it out. Watch me not be able to do this. I say it's easy. There is a recessed area and a little tab on the bottom of it that won't let it come out unless you're in that spot. There's a little tab. You see it right there. All right, and there's a detent right there where a little ball and stuff's in there. Okay, now we simply pull this out, and there's your bolt, and this slides back and forth and turns. You see it turns your four-lug lock on the bolt head to lock into the barrel. All right, and he's a little dirty, and these will fall out of place and all that stuff like that. You can push these pins out right here on the other side by pressing in on these. There it went. See that how that fell? That one come out? And where did it fail to? There it is. And that way you can get your extractor and your firing pin out. And the firing pin only goes one way, and I missed it, so let's see where I'm at. All right, let's pull that back. Gotta push that one in too, I think. There. No, he ain't either. get out of the way. Pull this one back too, and that one back. You got to pull them both back and push them in a little bit. And now you get them back in, locked in. Okay, he's locked into place, firing pin's locked into place. And with that, I'm not gonna take this thing all apart. All right, get up. All right, locked. And the firing pin will extrude through it. And this actuates your shell locks. You can see it come out, pushes it out. All right, all this stuff will come apart and go back together. There is another pin right here on that holds in your extractor. And he's pushed all the way down. It sits up right there. It looks like a big knob, but it ain't. Okay, now let's look at our action springs. Here they're coming out, lean them forward, they're gonna fall out, all right? You have, there's your recoil action springs on the guide rods. That's it. There is nothing else behind there. You can punch, you can take these guide rods out and use them to punch out your bolts, your retaining pins for the trigger. That's they're designed that way. And of course, mine's not gonna come out easy. I need to go hit the floor. And get out. So I got two pins on the floor, right there, and this comes out. Your shell latch right here, bolt release, shell latch, has two pins holding it in. One of the pins goes through. You're gonna have to take a little tiny punch that little bitty pin out. It's about that long. It's gonna come out and fall in there, all right? And your other pin, just take a long punch, stick down through there, and it'll just pull out. Okay, it's not pressed in. And then you have a spring loaded behind that. And if you're good enough with a drill and a tap and die, you can drill through the little tiny button there and get you some threads cut through there. I'm telling you, you're gonna break them. They're so tiny, and that's so hot, so hardened, I mean, you're gonna have to heat this thing up and take the tempering out of it, and so you can tap and drill. The drill you can drill through fine, but tapping it, I broke like 6 or 7 taps. I've actually bought 3 of these shell latches because I broke taps off. Tapping broke inside the thing, and I couldn't get that out, and it ruined it. So I finally got smart and heated this thing up and got the tempering out of it, and was able to drill down through it and cut threads in it and get it. And don't ask me how I knew that would work, because I'm not a machinist. I'm not a metallurgist or anything like that. But I got it to work on 2 different ones. I got one on my the competition model and one on this too. So they're working. And that's it. There's nothing down in there that, if you can see, we're gonna look down in it. There's nothing back there. Okay, you have one bolt. When you take your buttstock off, get in there and get a bolt out, and the stock comes off, and I think there's a plate in there. Yeah, and there's 2 little tabs that lock it all into place and get it all in order. But that's it. There's really nothing else to this gun. Fantastic gun. The design of it, I think, is perfect. I would be careful carrying it, tromping through the woods with a round in the chamber. All right, safety only locks the trigger. When you take the safety off, pull the trigger, let that come up. All right. When you go to lock this thing and it cycles back and locks it into place, okay, let's put the safety back on, okay? Safety zone, pull the trigger, nothing's happening. If I slam this down really hard, there's a possibility that this little sear could spring back and boom, there it goes. That's all it's holding it. It's a better design than the old 1100, 1187s, 870s and all that, which has a big old giant spring up here holding the sear pressure. The sear spring up here holding pressure on it. This is a much bigger bite area right here, okay, to keep it locked back. But there is a potential for you slamming it hard enough that could come back and the hammer could fire off and fire you around, okay? It's always a possibility. So best just to keep this thing, if you're traipsing through the woods, hunting and all that, do not keep this thing around in a chamber, okay? You always have the possibility of dropping it hard enough that sear lock could come back and there you're fired. It's firing. All right, so your sear lock right here is a lot bigger engagement than your other ones. I think y'all can see that. See this big old tab right here? That's a pretty big tab, and it's got a little recess under it too to grab into that sear lock. Take your off safety and push it, and that thing this is like a 4.5 pound trigger. It's nothing, but it's enough to pull that off so the hammer will fire. So just be safe and carry this thing without a round in the chamber when you're walking around. When you get up in your tree stand, you're getting ready to shoot. If you want to slowly load you around up in there, ready for your deer to come by, that's fine. All right. When I keep it by my bed, I've got the action locked open with a round sitting in it. So when I grab the gun, I hit my bolt release and it locks one in there. Well, what if it falls over and your round falls out? Well, where I got it sitting and the way I got it set up, it's not gonna fall over, okay? It's just not. I keep looking over here at this camera to make sure that I'm in view when I should be talking to you guys here. Hope it's not too aggravating. All right, so let's get it back together. Now, it's always a good thing when you're gonna put this trigger back in here, go ahead and press your bolt release so it just falls right down in there. Ooh, it fell down too far. Let me get my holes lined up. Yep, pretty much. And you can take your guide rod again and help you to line them up. Okay. Your pins are the exact same size, not like the 1100s and 87s and 870s and 1187s. They're the exact same size on both sides, okay? That one went in. I'll pop him in a little farther here in a minute. Okay. What do I have? Since it's a snap cap, I'll just use one of them to bang them into place. All right. And push them just a tad. There. They snap into those D-rings. All right. And you have to put these in before you put your bolt in. I can promise you that. Take it with the guide rod spring and a little tab back here, put the spring on, all right, so it goes that way. And he goes in, hold your gun up, level, and just stick him in that hole and run him all the way back, okay? That was that one. And then this one on this side. They can fall out of the tracks, and that annoys the crap out of a lot of people. All right, even me. Did that one fall out? Is he in there? I have to reach in there. No, he's in there. Yep, he's in his track. Get in there. That one goes in farther. This one here, is he in his track? Sometimes you gotta put your finger in there and get them in there. And when they're done, they're going to be, you see the springs are, well, get in there. The springs are only going to be sticking out just a few little turns when you get him in its proper place. Now you're going to take your bolt. Let me hold the gun up straight so I don't lose my springs. You're going to, damn it. The carry, okay? When you put it in there, this has to be pushed down. And your springs are gonna be the one pushing it forward, okay? If this is not down, okay, they're not gonna go in. So we're gonna set him up here and start him back in there, keeping that pushed back, and he'll fit, oh, that did come out, see there? Push that back in there. All right, keep that pushed back and push him in, and look at there, he went in there really good. There's my hole. You gotta get that, when you take this apart, you'll see it. There's a little bitty alignment mark right there, and there's a little bitty rounded out spot here. See right here, rounded out? With that hole will be right dead in the middle of it, okay? Because when you put your bolt handle in, there's that little nub's got to go down, all right? And you'll see why. It won't go any other way. You take that, stick him in there, right there where he's at, and push him till he snaps like that. And you're in. He's locked back. Now we take his barrel. And it's a little dirty. I need to get a better cleaning on it. He goes in, you hear him bottom out. Yes, the vent rib will have a little teeniest little piece of notch that where you think it's not all the way back, okay, but it is. All right, he's back. I set him on the floor. Take my 4 in that I put on the floor. He goes down. I'm gonna take my Nordic top on there first and go ahead and put that on before I put my springs and everything in there. And that locks my barrel and 4 in real tight. Of course, if you had this system put in and you were not gonna put a mag extension on it, you simply would take this, put it down in there after you get your spring and follower in there and lock that down, all right? So, that's tight. I'm kind of weird. I like to have my magazine follower put into the spring. And yeah, that's the one. I'll put this one side in. This is the original side. I did cut the spring to fit and bent that up there. So I like to have my follower in the spring and set it in there, angle it down so that I know the spring is in it. And the spring's not riding off on the side when I get it all put in there. Just keep him angled down, slowly push him in. And he's in there. And all I gotta do, yep, I can see it right there. Okay. Let's close that. I can push that down now, and I can see that my magazine follower is coming all the way to the end. So I know the spring's in it, seated inside the follower and not catching them on the side or anything. And I'm just gonna take my spring and start feeding him in a little bit. Take that, put him on, and do your best not to cross thread this thing, because that's a pain. A lot of spinning, a lot of threads on there. All right, let's put some snap caps in there. Now, you've got this, push that thing forward and it locks it, okay? You can still cycle it back, but it won't go forward and it won't fire, okay? You take this little, where you see it, and pull it back and let it go, okay? The one thing I like about the American styles is that every time I pull this thing back, it locks back every time. It's not like I got used to the European styles where I could manipulate them pretty good, but I like this style better. I just do, all right? Can drop one in there, load one in. I don't have to worry about, is that up or down or whatever. Now you can push him all the way down and push him forward, all right? Just take that, your lifter, carrier, push it all the way down and push it forward. It holds it open. If you want to load easier like that, okay, it's out of the way. That's an option. Okay, will it work? It'll eject that one out, but it's not gonna fire. All right, so let's take it and pull it back, and it comes up in the spot. We're ready to go, okay? So, these are snap caps. I fire, boom, all right? He's loaded another one in there. Let's say I don't fire. I just want to get that one out. He loads another one in there, okay? Let's say I want to eject this one and not fire it. Push that up once, eject that one out. It's held open. I can grab a different round, slap it in there, and just pull this button back again. And it's got the little round I just put in there. Let's do that again. I push that forward, pull it back, it ejected that round out. I take a slug, throw him in there, all right? Boom, now I got a slug loaded in there. Well, let's say, oops, I don't want that slug in there anymore. Let me put something different in there. Just simply push your lock up again, right here. There you see it on that. Take that, push that lock forward, okay? And on your Beretta 1301s, that's the button you gotta push to get a shell to drop in there. But this is a different system, it's not doing that. So I just push it forward, lock it, okay? Bam, he's locked out. These are also snap caps, okay? And I can throw that one back in there, and all I gotta do, you don't hit that to release it, you just simply push your, pull it back, unlock it. Now it's got mine loaded in there. And I'm ready to load more in there if I want to, okay? Everything I got out here is snap caps. All right, load, boom, all right? This thing is fantastic and easy to load. Some people said the earlier models, and I've seen other videos on them, they say, oh, this is sharp, it's scratching my fingernails. Ooh, 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 okay? Well, easy fix. When I pulled this trigger group out and had it all out, I took a little round diamond file and I went, reek, reek, and just diamond file right around them real slowly and easy. Now this thing is just as smooth as a baby's butt. And it doesn't snag me or harm me in any way, shape, or form when I load rounds in there. And it's easy to load this thing, okay? So every time I shoot the gun, bam. Oh, this is snap cap, didn't do that. This ain't the gun's fault. This is my snap caps are crappy. I've used them. Probably cycled them 100,000 times, and occasionally we get this to happen. So this ain't the gun's fault. This is my snap caps. They're probably 20 years old, and they're shit. And I have never had this happen with a regular load, ever. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get a screwdriver in there. Get up. You watch me edit this shit out. That's what I hate with snap caps. These, I swear to God, these things are old as shit. They're old Remingtons. The ends of them are rounded off and all that kind of stuff. And that didn't come out. It's doing it again. It's because it's two different brands of snap caps, and that didn't get the chance to come up. Let's see if I can push that one back. There you went. Oh, there's rust on them too. God dang it, why are you to be such shit? Yeah, that's got rust all over it too. I might just have to throw that away. All right, that one worked. All right. The black ones, I kid you not, these things are probably 1980. And some of them are rusting and been used and abused and beat up. The orange ones I bought online, and they're really kind of crap too. But that's snap caps for you. Y'all seen many issues. But see how it cycles. So every time I charge this thing, it drops a new round in here and loads it in there. Uh-oh, did my camera die? Okay, well, technical difficulties there. Battery died. So I just absolutely, without a doubt, love this gun. Love it, love it, love it. Snap caps are a piece of shit. The black ones especially. I bought these orange ones. I don't know when I bought them. I can't remember. But they have been pretty good. And I got another one hidden on the floor somewhere. I don't know where it's at. See if we can get this to work this time better. Looks like there's more grip on the lips on these than on the other ones. Okay, snap caps in. Boom. Pa-chow. Shoot it. Okay. And I think when you shoot it, it drops another one on there. Let me see. Yeah. Got one ready. Take that one out. Load the next one. Shoot it. Or if I want to empty it, every time I pull it back, it empties it. Okay. I don't have to keep pushing a button like on the Benelli or the 1301 up here to get this thing. Or of course you can push this in all the way. Push that in the lock position. Then reach in here and press on your button side over here, and it will release a shell. Your shell that pull out on that, and you can get shells out. Let's see here. Okay, have that in there. And you simply need to push down on that a little bit more. Reach in there and press on your bolt latch or pull up on them. Some people say you can just pull up on them real easy. Yep, that'll do it too. You can unload them that way, all right? That's a possibility, all right? I've just always grown up because 1100s have the button on here and it's a pain in the butt. But you can unload it however you want to, whatever you feel safe doing. Just keep the gun pointed in a safe direction at all times. Never put your finger on the trigger unless you're ready to kill something. Every gun is considered loaded, all right? And consider what you're shooting at and what's around it in case you miss your target, your intended target. What are you gonna hit? Those are your 4 golden safety gun rules. I like to put them in there. All right, folks, thank you so much for watching and putting up with me through this, through my cold and coughing and ranting and raving, which I will be editing all that stuff out. The battery dying, which I did not expect it to happen because that's a new battery. Either way you look at it, a Remington V3. This is a field sport that I turned into a tactical version by buying an 18-inch barrel. I added on the extra gas compensation plugs, piston cap plugs. I put those on it. That gives it the greatest recoil reduction of any shotgun I believe I ever shot in my life. Okay, y'all remember the Benelli Ethos? I went out the first weekend I had that gun and shot 500 rounds at Clay's. I didn't even have a red spot, soreness in my shoulder, nothing. This gun shoots buckshot and slugs like that. Literally shot over 250 rounds of slugs and double-aught buck with this thing one day, and I was just drained. Okay, you can hear the pistons rattling. That means your gun's clean with your action open. Close your action, you don't hear them. You might can hear them a little bit if you really rattle it, okay? But you got to shake it hard. Those of you who have Benellis, you know what I'm talking about. But this is an absolute gem of a gun. I don't carry this thing or keep it around with a sling in it. I like to have a sling mount options in case I have to leave and take it with me and get out the area. So I do want a sling available. When I got this thing in the house, I ain't got a sling on it. It's just in the way, possibly in the way. If I gotta go, do I have a chance to go back and get my sling? Yeah, that's a thought too. I don't know. I just have never really put that much into it. I like my guns to have the ability to have a sling put on them. That's all I can say. And I'll put this Strike Industries mount back on up here in a minute. I ain't gonna bore y'all with that. But anyway, guys, again, I've rambled on long enough, but I think you can see the benefits of this gun. I can't go out shooting today because where I'm living now as a travel nurse, the only outside shotgun ranges are gun clubs. They're not shooting ranges, and they want a hefty price tag for you to go out there and become a member and join and be able to shoot your guns. So I'm still looking, trying to do some networking and find somebody around the Omaha, Nebraska area that knows of an outdoor shooting range for shotguns where I can go and make some videos. And I want to make a video of putting this gun through its paces. I've already had videos on these V3s before. You've seen those. Did tinkering work and stuff like that, and little stuff. I got that competition one running good. It was hanging up on the last round because of the weld that I put on the back of the bolt release on the shell latch. I didn't have it filed down enough, and it was just enough with that long spring on a 26-inch barrel to let that last round, wasn't enough to push that last round out, and it was catching on the back of that, of this bolt release. So I got in there and I filed a little more of my weld down and went back out there, and I ran it. When I was out in Colorado, I showed videos of it. It was shooting all the rounds, no problem at all. Sometimes you got to tweak on stuff, you know. But that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love making these videos for you. I have so much fun doing it. So God bless you. God bless America. And Cornelio out. And don't forget to shoot that thing.